Life has a way of leading us into places where the light feels distant, where hope seems like a dream we once had but can no longer touch. There are moments when the weight of the world presses against our shoulders, when the silence of struggle becomes deafening, when the road ahead disappears into shadows so thick we forget that light ever existed. It is in these moments, in the belly of despair, that we begin to wonder if we have been abandoned, if the darkness has swallowed us whole. But even in the deepest night, even in the most desolate of places, there is a light that finds us. Not because we chase it, not because we deserve it, but because it was always there, waiting. It is said that the night is darkest just before the dawn, but when you are lost in it, time stretches in ways the sun cannot measure. The heart learns to beat quietly in sorrow, and the soul folds in on itself, afraid to stretch out, afraid to hope. The voices around you may hush when you walk in the room. The phone may no longer ring with love. The days may blur together like a melody with no rhythm. And yet, in the silence, in the void, something stirs. Not with a thunderous clap, not with flashing fire, but with the whisper of something eternal, something that has never left you, something that has waited patiently while you wandered through the valley of your own undoing. We have all known a darkness that clings to the spirit, the kind that wraps around you like a second skin, the kind that makes you forget the feel of warmth, the kind that makes you question whether you were ever meant to stand in the sun. There are prisons that hold the body, but the hardest shackles to break are the ones that tighten around the mind. The chains of doubt, the bars of shame, the heavy locks of past mistakes that clang loudly every time you try to move forward. And when you sit in that cell long enough, you start to believe that this is your portion, this is your fate, this is all there will ever be. But the light does not need an open door to reach you. It does not ask for permission. It does not wait for an invitation. It seeps through the cracks, through the smallest fractures of your brokenness, illuminating what you thought was beyond redemption. Have you ever seen a single candle in a vast, empty space? How it defies the surrounding dark, how it refuses to be swallowed. No matter how thick the night presses in, that small flicker holds its place. It may bend with the wind, it may tremble against the unseen forces that seek to smother it, but it does not go out. It was never meant to, and neither were you. The world may have told you that your time is up, that your best days have passed, that you have stumbled too far to be lifted again. But the world does not write the final story. The darkness does not own the last word. There is something about the light that does not concern itself with the size of the shadows. It does not measure your worth by your scars. It does not weigh your past to determine your future. It simply finds you in the midnight hour, in the forgotten corners, in the ruins of what you thought was beyond repair. It finds you, and it does not let you go. You may not see it at first. You may doubt its presence. You may wonder if it is merely an illusion conjured by a desperate heart. But even in your disbelief, even in your hesitation, it remains steady, unyielding. There are stories written in the stars about those who were lost but found, those who were broken but restored, those who fell so low they thought the heavens would never see them again. But light does not rely on height. It does not dwell only in the peaks of mountains or the palaces of the favored. It moves through the valleys. It lingers in the alleys. It walks the roads where weary feet have trod. It has seen every tear shed in secret. It has heard the silent cries of those who have long given up on being heard, and still it does not turn away. You may think you are unworthy of such light, that your mistakes are too heavy, that your choices have built walls too high for anything good to scale. But light does not knock on doors, it passes through them. It does not need permission to love you. It does not ask for perfection before it reaches for you. It moves freely, it moves boldly, It moves toward you, not because of what you have done, but because of who you are. And who you are, despite the lies whispered in the night, despite the wounds you carry, despite the fears that keep you bound, is someone worthy of being found. There will come a moment when the weight begins to lift, when the shadows begin to shift, when the dawn presses its fingers against the horizon of your heart, and you will see, perhaps for the first time in a long time, that you were never truly alone, that the light had never abandoned you, that it was simply waiting for you to lift your eyes, to take a breath, to believe once more in the possibility of morning. It does not matter how long the night has lasted. It does not matter how deep the abyss has seemed. The light is still there. It always has been, and even in the dark, it will find you. The weight of darkness is something only those who have carried it truly understand. It does not simply exist outside of you. It settles within, weaving itself into your thoughts, sinking into your bones, making a home where light once lived. You do not notice its arrival all at once. It creeps in like a slow-moving tide, gentle at first, almost unassuming. It whispers that it has always been there, that it is part of you, that there is no use in fighting. And so, without realizing, you make space for it. You adjust your posture, learn to walk in its heavy presence, convince yourself that this is just the way things are. The laughter that once came easily turns into a foreign sound. The dreams that once filled your heart with fire flicker and fade like embers losing their glow. You stop looking up because the sky seems too far away. You stop believing because hope feels like a luxury meant for others. You stop reaching because the last time you did, your hands came back empty. And yet, even as the dark tightens its grip, the light does not leave. It does not flee in the presence of despair. It does not turn away when you have forgotten how to call for it. It lingers, quiet but constant, patient but unwavering. It is in the kindness of a stranger when you expected cruelty. It is in the song that plays at the right moment, speaking to the deepest part of you when you thought no one saw your pain. It is in the gentle touch of someone who loves you, in the words you needed to hear but never thought would come. It is in the simple, unnoticed miracles that continue to unfold even when you are too weary to acknowledge them. It does not demand that you recognize it. It is simply there, waiting for you to turn toward it, waiting for you to let it in. The world has taught you that love is conditional, that worth must be earned, that mercy has a limit. It has told you that your failures define you, that your past cannot be undone, that the weight you carry is yours alone to bear. And because you have been told these things, you have come to believe them. You have allowed them to shape your identity, to carve their names into your soul, to dictate what you will and will not receive. But the light is not bound by the rules of the world. It does not measure you by what you have done or failed to do. It does not keep a record of your shortcomings, does not tally your mistakes like marks against your name. It sees beyond the layers of guilt and regret, beyond the walls you have built to keep yourself hidden. It sees you, the real you, the one who existed before the pain, before the sorrow, before the voices of the world told you who you were supposed to be. And it calls to that part of you, the part that still longs to be whole, the part that still remembers what it means to be free. You may say that you have wandered too far, that you have drifted too long in places where the light cannot reach. You may say that you have made choices that have pulled you so deep into the night that there is no way back. But the light does not operate on distance. It does not lose sight of you because you have turned away. You are never out of its reach, never too far gone, never beyond the power of its embrace. It knows the paths you have taken, the roads that led you astray, the moments when you believed you were beyond saving, and still it moves toward you, relentless in its pursuit, determined in its love. It is not deterred by your brokenness, not discouraged by your doubt. It is not frightened by your scars, does not hesitate at the sight of your wounds. It comes for you not because you are perfect, not because you are whole, but because you are loved. There are moments when the night seems endless, when the silence of suffering becomes too much to bear, when prayers feel like echoes lost in an empty sky, when tears fall unnoticed into the vastness of nothingness, when you wonder if anyone sees, if anyone hears, if anyone knows how it feels to carry the burdens that you have carried, but you are not unseen. The light that searches for you is the same light that has seen every tear you have cried, that has counted every sorrow that has weighed on your heart. It has been with you in every sleepless night, in every lonely moment, in every whispered plea for relief. It has held you when you thought no one was there. It has covered you when you thought you were exposed. It has fought for you when you had no strength left to fight for yourself. The darkness may have told you that you are alone, but it is a liar. It may have told you that your story is over, but it is wrong. It may have tried to convince you that you are unloved, unworthy beyond redemption, but it has never spoken the truth. The truth is that the light has never left you. The truth is that no matter how deep the night, no matter how long the storm, no matter how heavy the burden, the light still shines. And not just in the distance, not just for others, not just in places where the world deems worthy, but for you, right where you are, right in the midst of your struggle, right in the center of your pain. You do not have to chase the light. You do not have to earn it. You do not have to prove that you are deserving of it. You need only to open your heart, to take one small step toward it, to believe, if only for a moment, that it is real. And in that moment, in that smallest flicker of faith, the light will rush in, breaking through the walls, shattering the chains, silencing the voices that have told you that you would never be free. It will move in ways you never expected, opening doors you thought were closed, making a way where there was none. It will remind you of who you are, of who you were always meant to be. And when you finally see it, when you finally feel its warmth, when you finally understand that it was never absent, you will know that you were never truly lost. You will know that even in the darkest places, even in the moments of greatest despair, even when you had given up on yourself, the light never gave up on you. It has always been there. It will always be there. And even now, even in this very moment, even in the silence of your searching heart, it is finding you. The weight of suffering is not always loud. Sometimes it is quiet, unassuming, blending into the rhythm of daily life so well that even you begin to believe it is normal. You wake up carrying it, move through your day with it, clinging to your spirit, lie down with it, pressing against your chest like a heavy stone. You convince yourself that this is just the way things are, that there is no other way to live, no way to break free. You smile when required, you nod when expected. You perform the duties of existence while inside, the light within you dims. The world does not see, or perhaps it does, but does not care. The struggle becomes a part of you, an unwelcome guest that has overstayed its welcome, but refuses to leave. But there is something about light that cannot be erased, something about its nature that refuses to surrender to the dark. Even in the deepest despair, even in the silence of suffering, it waits. It does not demand that you find it. It comes to you. It moves through the barriers you have built, slips through the cracks of your brokenness, stretches into the places you thought were unreachable. It does not need permission. It does not require your strength. It does not ask that you understand it before you receive it. It simply moves, and in moving, it transforms. You may have grown accustomed to the darkness, but that does not mean you were made for it. There is something within you that longs for light, even when you pretend otherwise. There is a part of you that still hopes, even when you have buried it beneath layers of disappointment. There is a whisper deep inside, one you have tried to silence, one you have ignored because it is easier to live numb than to feel the ache of longing. But light does not forget what it created. It does not abandon what it has claimed. And so no matter how long you have wandered, no matter how lost you believe you are, it still calls to you. You may have been hurt in ways that words cannot describe. You may carry wounds that time has not healed. You may look at yourself and see only the broken pieces, the remnants of who you used to be before life carved its sorrow into your soul. But the light does not see you as ruined. It does not see you as beyond repair. It sees you as whole, even before you do. Sees the beauty in the very scars you despise. It does not come to erase your story, it comes to redeem it. It does not come to ignore your pain, it comes to heal it. It does not come to remove your past, it comes to show you that even the darkest chapters can lead to the brightest endings. The world has tried to convince you that the night lasts forever, that this heaviness you carry will never lift, that the battles you fight will never end. But the world is wrong. The night may be long, but it is not endless. The storm may be fierce, but it will not rage forever. The weight you carry may be heavy, but it is not permanent. There will be a moment when the dawn breaks, when the first traces of light stretch across the sky of your life, when the warmth returns to the places that have been cold for far too long. And in that moment, you will remember what it feels like to be free. There is nothing the darkness can do to stop the light from reaching you. It may try to convince you otherwise, may whisper that you are forgotten, may scream that you are abandoned, may plant seeds of doubt so deep that you start to believe them, but the darkness is not as strong as it seems. It has no power to hold you unless you let it. It has no claim on you unless you surrender to it. The light is stronger. It always has been. You may be weary. You may have fought battles that no one else knows about, battles that have drained you, battles that have left you wondering if you have anything left to give. You may feel like you are at the end, like you have nothing left to hold on to, like the last flicker of hope is slipping through your fingers. But the light does not need you to be strong. It does not require you to be fearless. It does not wait for you to have all the answers. It comes even in your weakness. It comes even in your doubt. It comes even when you have stopped believing in its presence. There will be a moment when you look back on all the nights you thought you wouldn't survive and realize that the light was there all along, in the kindness of a stranger when you least expected it, in the embrace of someone who refused to let you fade into the shadows, in the quiet moments when something deep within you whispered, "Keep going." You may not have recognized it then, but it was there, and it is here now, reaching for you, waiting for you to take hold of it. No past mistake can keep the light from finding you. No failure is too great. No wrong is too deep. No regret is too heavy. The light does not turn away from brokenness. It moves toward it. It does not recoil from your pain. It moves through it. It does not hesitate at the sight of your tears. It gathers them, holds them, turns them into something beautiful. You are not beyond grace. You are not beyond mercy. You are not beyond love. Even when you do not feel it, even when you cannot see it, the light is working. In the unseen, in the quiet, in the places you least expect, it is making a way. It is setting things in motion. It is aligning what has felt misaligned, restoring what has seemed too far gone, breathing life into the places that have been barren. The darkness will try to tell you that nothing is changing, that the weight you carry will never lift, that the light is nothing more than an illusion, but the darkness has never spoken the truth. There is something ahead of you that is greater than what you have left behind. There is a door opening, even if you cannot yet see it. There is a new beginning waiting, even if you still feel trapped in the old. There is something stirring in the unseen, something moving on your behalf, something shifting the very foundation of what you thought was unchangeable. The light is not passive. It does not sit still while you struggle. It moves, it fights, it breaks down barriers, and it is fighting for you even now. You are not defined by your lowest moment. You are not shaped by your worst mistake. You are not bound to the sorrow that has tried to claim you. The light that calls you is stronger than the darkness that chases you. It has never lost a battle. It has never been overcome. It has never failed to shine, and it will not fail you. Even in the quietest hours, even in the loneliest nights, even in the places where you feel unseen, the light is with you. It does not waver. It does not falter. It does not grow weary. It remains. Through every storm, through every tear, through every moment when you have questioned whether you would ever find your way again, it remains, and it will lead you home. The weight of despair is a thief. It robs you slowly, taking small pieces at first, pieces so seemingly insignificant that you do not notice they are gone. A bit of joy here, a bit of laughter there. It steals quietly, methodically, never in a rush, patient in its pursuit. And before you realize it, you have been emptied. The mirror reflects a face you no longer recognize. The fire in your spirit, the one that once burned so brightly, now flickers weakly, struggling against the winds of. You tell yourself that this is just how life is, that some people were made to shine and others were meant to fade, that the dreams you once held close to your heart were never truly yours to begin with. But the light does not forget its own. It does not look upon you with disappointment. It does not stand at a distance, waiting for you to be worthy of its return. It comes rushing in the moment you are ready to receive it, the moment you dare to believe that even the smallest ember can be reignited. It does not hesitate, does not question, does not demand proof that you are deserving. It simply moves, because that is its nature, to seek out the lost, to lift up the weary, to call back those who have wandered. You may have been told that once you stray too far, there is no way back, that once the darkness has claimed you, the light will no longer recognize you, that you must fix yourself before you can be worthy of restoration. But that is not the way of the light. It is not reserved for the perfect, for the flawless, for those who have never stumbled. It is for the broken, the bruised, the weary, the forgotten. It does not turn away from those in need. It runs toward them. There are moments in life when the darkness presses so heavily against you that you wonder if you will ever breathe freely again, when the weight of everything you carry makes even the simplest movements feel impossible, when the night stretches endlessly before you, mocking you with its silence, whispering that you are alone. But you are not alone. You have never been alone. Even in the shadows, even in the silence, even in the places where hope seems to have been buried beneath layers of pain, the light is there. It does not always come in the way you expect, does not always move in the ways you demand, but it moves nonetheless. Sometimes it comes in the form of a voice that speaks exactly what you need to hear at exactly the right time. A song, a sermon, a phrase uttered by a stranger. A reminder that you are not invisible, that you are not forgotten. Other times it comes as a quiet strength, a sudden courage to get up, to try again, to take one more step, even when you have convinced yourself that you have nothing left to give. It does not always appear as a dramatic rescue, as a parting of seas or the crumbling of walls. Sometimes it is the simple, steady presence that reminds you to hold on just a little longer. You may believe that the darkness within you is stronger than the light calling you, that the mistakes you have made, the pain you have caused, the burdens you have carried have changed you beyond recognition. But the light is not intimidated by your past. It does not flinch at the sight of your wounds. It does not recoil from your brokenness. It sees all of it, and it moves closer. It does not love you despite your flaws. It loves you because you are its own. The world may have given up on you. People may have turned away. You may have been cast aside, overlooked, left to navigate your struggles in isolation. But the light does not abandon its own. It does not measure your worth by the opinions of others. It does not withhold its love based on how many times you have fallen. It is not waiting for you to prove yourself before it welcomes you back. It has been calling your name since the moment you first lost your way. It has never stopped. The darkness will try to convince you that you are beyond redemption, that too much time has passed, that too much damage has been done, that the dreams you once carried are beyond restoration, that the promises once spoken over your life have expired. But the darkness is a liar. There is no expiration date on what has been set aside for you. There is no mistake too great, no failure too deep, no wound too raw that the light cannot heal. You may have been wandering for so long that you have forgotten what it feels like to be found. You may have been hurting for so long that healing seems like a foreign concept. You may have been living in survival mode, doing whatever it takes just to make it through one more day. But you were never meant to merely survive. You were meant to thrive, to live fully, to walk in a light that is greater than anything this world could ever take from you. The road ahead may not be easy. The process of stepping out of the darkness and into the light is rarely without struggle. There will be moments of doubt, moments when the old voices try to reclaim their hold, moments when fear attempts to drag you backward. But the light will not let you go. It will not allow you to slip back into the abyss without a fight. It will remind you over and over again that you are loved, that you are chosen, that you are seen. And as you walk, as you step forward into that light, you will begin to remember who you are. You will remember the dreams that once filled your heart, the laughter that once came so easily, the love that once flowed from you without hesitation. You will remember what it feels like to be free, to be unburdened, to walk in the knowledge that you are not alone. There will come a day when you will look back on this season, on this struggle, on this night that felt like it would never end, and you will see the light woven through every moment. You will see it in the places you once thought were abandoned. You will recognize it in the kindness that was extended when you least deserved it. You will find it in the quiet strength that carried you through when you had nothing left. And when that day comes, when you stand in the fullness of the light that has been pursuing you all along, you will know beyond any doubt that even in the deepest dark, the light still finds you. It always has, it always will. The weight of the night presses hardest when you are alone, when the world has grown silent and the only voice left to speak is the one in your mind. It tells you that you are forgotten. It reminds you of every failure, every misstep, every word spoken in anger, every moment of weakness. It paints a picture of your life as one long series of mistakes, as if the past is a cage that you will never escape. And the more you listen, the more you begin to believe it. The more you begin to wonder if this is all there is, if this is all you will ever be. But there is something deep within you that does not believe in endings. It does not believe that the darkness is final. Even in the moments when your strength has faded, when your hope is nothing more than a whisper, there is a part of you that still longs for more. A part of you that knows, even if only in the quietest corners of your soul, that the light is not finished with you yet. The night may be long, but it is not eternal. There is a breaking point, a moment when the first trace of light slips over the horizon, when the darkness begins to retreat even before you are fully aware of it. It does not come all at once, does not rush in like a flood, does not erase the night in an instant. It comes gently, steadily, a soft glow before the full radiance. It gives you time to adjust, to believe again, to prepare yourself for the moment when the light will fully embrace you. You may feel unworthy of that light. You may think you have strayed too far, that you have built your life too deep in the shadows to ever be pulled out. But the light is not looking for perfection. It is not searching for the ones who have never fallen, never doubted, never broken. It is searching for the ones who are willing, the ones who will lift their eyes, even if only for a moment, and allow themselves to believe in the possibility of redemption. The world will tell you that you are beyond repair, that once something is broken, it can never be made whole again, that the scars you carry will always define you. But the light knows better. It knows that the very things you believe have ruined you are the things that will one day tell your story, that the cracks in your soul are not signs of weakness, but places where the light will shine through. That the battles you have fought, the nights you have survived will become the very proof that you were never alone. You may not see it yet, but the light is already working. It is moving in ways you cannot perceive, shifting things beneath the surface, preparing the path ahead of you, even as you struggle to take the next step. You do not have to understand it for it to be real. You do not have to feel it for it to be present. Even when you cannot see it, even when you doubt it, even when every part of you wants to give up, the light is still there. There will come a time when you will look back on this season, on this darkness, on this weight that you thought would crush you, and you will see the light woven through every moment. You will see it in the strength you did not know you had, in the kindness of those who refused to let you fall, in the moments when you wanted to quit but somehow kept going. And when you see it, you will understand that it was never absent, that even in the moments when you felt abandoned, when you cried out in the silence and heard nothing in return, the light was still there. It was simply waiting for you to be ready. It is easy to believe that the light will only come when you are strong enough to reach for it, that it will only return when you have proven yourself, when you have made amends for every mistake, when you have gathered the strength to pull yourself out of the pit. But the light is not waiting for you to be perfect. It is not holding back until you are worthy. It is not measuring your pain against some invisible scale to decide if you have suffered enough to deserve healing. It comes because that is what it does. It reaches, it rescues, it restores, not because you have earned it, but because you are loved. The world will tell you that love must be earned, that grace has limits, that forgiveness has conditions, but the light knows no such rules. It does not turn away from the brokenhearted. It does not withhold itself from those who are lost. It does not hesitate at the sight of failure. It moves toward the very ones the world has cast aside, toward the weary, toward the forgotten, toward the ones who have convinced themselves that they are beyond saving. You may think that your story is over, that the pain you carry is too deep, that the dreams you once held are too far gone. But there is a new chapter waiting, one that has not yet been written, one that is not dictated by the failures of your past, but by the promise of your future. The light is already turning the pages, already making way for what is to come. And though you may not yet know how the story ends, you can be sure of this: darkness does not have the final word. There will be moments when you will want to give up, when the weight of everything you have endured will feel too heavy, when the road ahead will seem too long. But you were not made to be defeated. You were not created to live in sorrow. You were meant to rise, to stand, to walk in the fullness of who you were always meant to be. The light has never lost a battle. It has never been overcome. It has never failed to find those who call out to it, and it will not fail you. There is a promise over your life, one that cannot be erased by the darkness, one that cannot be stolen by the enemy. It has been written since the beginning, sealed in love, marked by grace. It is not dependent on your perfection. It is not subject to your failures. It remains unshaken, unchanging, eternal, and that promise is this: you are never been alone. You have never been alone. Even in the darkest night, even in the lowest valley, even when you have convinced yourself that there is no way forward, The light is still there. One day you will see it clearly. One day you will look back on this moment and understand that even here, even now, the light was finding its way to you, that it was never as far as it seemed, that it was always reaching, always moving, always calling your name. And when that day comes, when you step fully into that light, when you finally let go of the chains that have held you for so long, you will understand what has been true all along. The darkness never had power over you. The light had already won. It had won before you even knew you needed it. It had won before the battle began. It had won before you ever took your first breath. And if the light has already won, then so have you. The darkness may have whispered lies, but the light has always spoken truth. It has never abandoned you, never left you to be swallowed by despair. It has walked with you through every valley, through every moment of doubt, through every tear-stained night. Even when you could not see it, even when you did not believe in it, it was there, waiting, reaching, calling you home. Now, as you stand on the edge of a new beginning, know this: you were never meant to remain in the shadow. The burdens you have carried, the battles you have fought, the nights you have endured have not been in vain. The light has already made a way, already claimed the victory. Step forward in faith, in strength, in the unshakable knowledge that you are loved, that you are seen, that you are never alone. The light has found you, and it will never let you go.